Hi, everyone. I am Connie Zabel-Schmucker. I'm Advocacy Director for Bicycle Garage Indy. And welcome to our 2023 inaugural Lunch and Learn program. We're going to be talking about winter workouts. Allie from Commuter Connect, but also as a yoga instructor, is going to talk about cross training and yoga for bicycling. And Damon Richards will join us and talk about spin classes and indoor trainers. Couple things, change the registration process for the Lunch and Learns. So if you happen to see this afterwards and want to register, I'll put the link to do that is www.bgindy.com/FOR/lunchlearn. And you can register for all of the sessions, as well as just one or two, whichever you want to attend, and you'll be sent a link to join via Zoom about an hour before the program. This is the page that link will go to, and it also has an archived Lunch and Learn programs. So all the recordings that we had from 2021 and 2022 are also available. And once we have the recordings for these, the links to them will be put up here and also on this archived page. So we have a lot of great programs we've done in the past, but we have some great programs this year as well. So I will, this is a program of Bicycle Garage Indy, Bike Indianapolis, Central Indiana Bicycling Association, and Commuter Connect, to support community bicycling. They're held on the second Thursday of the month from 12 to 1, and it's held via Zoom. And like I said, we'll make those available afterwards. I put them up on links to the Zoom recording up on Facebook. I put them in Bicycle Garage Indy's newsletter that goes out, as well as our partners share them as well. And they'll also be up on this page. So you should be able to find it. They'll be on BGI's YouTube channel as well. So without further ado, I will go ahead and turn this over to Allie, and I'll mute myself so that, and I'll take my screen down so that Allie can.
All right, thanks Connie so much for having me today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Maybe, oh, there we go. Like Connie mentioned, my name is Allie Steinke, and I am with Commuter Connect, which is a free service of CERTA, Central Indiana Regional Transportation Authority. And we're just here to give free transportation benefits to the community. I'm also a RYT registered yoga teacher with a 200-hour training, and I've been teaching yoga for about 10 years now, or just over 10 years. I started doing yoga just because I was pregnant with my first daughter. I thought it would be good for my body. I wanted to do something active while I was pregnant, and I really mostly fell in love with the mental aspect of yoga, but I've started to cycle to work once a week when it's nice out, and I am doing some spin classes. So with that repetitive motion that cyclists do all of the time, I really started to notice how yoga is assisting with, just cross training and keeping the body healthy so we can continue to cycle long term and prevent injuries or help maintain those injuries and heal them. So with Commuter Connect, just a brief overview, we, like I said, do alternative transportation options. We've got a carpool matching database anybody can enter into for free. We have a bike buddy program that anybody can enter into. So if you're an experienced biker, you could just find a group or a friend to bike with, so safety in numbers. We also have a bike buddy program that you can sign up for, and we pair up newer bikers with experienced bikers to help keep everybody safer on the road. We do offer an emergency ride home up to 5 times a year if you're using alternative transportation, such as biking to work, if you carpool, ride the bus, but you do have to register in advance with Commuter Connect, and you have to work for a participating employer. So if you have any questions about that, you can type them in the chat, and at the end of the slides, I'll have a QR code that you can scan to get more information. So back to the yoga. Why we practice yoga? Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of repetitive movements with cycling. We're all leaning forward, our shoulders are rounding forward. So, sitting like that all day or for a couple hours a day can be really taxing on the body. Yoga is going to add flexibility to the body. So with those repetitive movements, your muscles are starting to get tighter and tighter. So obviously you want to stretch them out. They're going to increase your range of motion, and the muscles are going to be working more smoothly. Also, like I mentioned, the mindfulness is what really draws me to yoga the most. Is you're going to become more body aware of how the muscles, how the joints, how everything's moving and feeling, because in yoga, you're really going to slow down, you're going to feel the body, and you're going to be aware and pay attention to how the body's working. And all of that forward-leaning motion, a lot of the yoga poses are designed to open the fronts of the hips, open the chest, the spine, and the shoulders. One of my favorite things to focus on is breath control and using the full lung capacity. A lot of us, when we breathe, we're breathing in the chest, we're having shallow breaths, and we don't use the full capacity of the lungs. Yoga is really going to focus on belly breathing, diaphragmatic breath to use the whole capacity of the lungs to get the most oxygen while you are cycling. There's lots of different types of yoga out there, and I definitely suggest trying different ones. Everybody's body is built differently. Everybody's body has different injuries, different things going on. So it's not a one size fits all for everybody. I'm going to go ahead and just talk about the main types of yoga. There's more than on this list, but these are, I think, the most common, especially around the Indianapolis, Indy area. And I'm starting with the slowest into the most physically active, kind of going up from there. But when I say slowest, I'm not going to say the easiest, because again, everybody's body is going to be different and have different needs. So it's not easiest, but it's just going to be the slowest. Restorative yoga is going to be really great for injuries. So if you have an injury and you're taking a rest from cycling, or you're just kind of protecting certain parts of the body, and this would be a really great place to start. You're going to have lots of props with restorative yoga. So blankets, pillows, yoga blocks, straps, and we're going to be holding the poses for quite a bit of time. So anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes. But you're kind of just laying on the floor, propped up in different shapes, and you're slowing your breath down, you're relaxing into it, and you're letting your body just be held. So those injuries, those tightnesses, they can kind of just relax and unwind over time. It's also really, really good for stress reduction and stress control. The next type of yoga that I'm going to discuss is yin yoga. And it's somewhat similar to restorative yoga, but in restorative yoga, you're going to be a little bit more gentle and soft. In yin yoga, you're going to be looking for a little bit of an intensity and a little bit of some stress and tension on the connective tissues of the body. So you're holding the poses longer, but you're going to start to feel the intensity. Not so much that it hurts or it's painful, but enough that you can, again, use your breath to relax into it. Yin yoga is a class that I teach on Sunday nights, and I've noticed that that's one of the main classes that I have where cyclists do attend, because, we're spinning, we're moving quick, we're using the muscles, and this is going to stretch all of that out the most, I think. Gentle yoga, you're going to still be moving slower, but you're going to have a little bit of flow to it. You're not really holding the poses. It's definitely an all levels class that anybody should feel comfortable going to. You're going to be focusing on quite a bit of stretching still, but there might be a little bit of strength poses added in and a little bit of balancing poses added in. And finally, there's the vinyasa, hot, or power classes. The vinyasa is you're moving up and down. You're going to go from standing to bending over to on your belly, back to standing again. Quite a bit of physically movement. Your heart rate is going to get up a little bit more. And then a hot or power class, a hot, the temperature is just going to be, usually a warm class will be about 85 to 90, and then a hot class can be anywhere from 100 to 105 or so. And the power, again, you're just going to be moving faster. So if you're one of those more like type A people that really has a hard time slowing your mind down, the restorative again might be challenging for you, but you might need that the most to kind of balance everything out, the cross-training aspect. But a vinyasa or hot or power class might sort of meet you where you're at mentally and kind of just get the body moving, and you're still going to get lots of stretching in any of the classes. So where to go? I didn't get a list of all of the studios in the area. The best thing to do is just Google the nearest yoga studio towards you. You're going to want to find something that fits in your schedule, and that's a routine. You're not going to want to have to go, I teach out in Fishers. I'm sure not everybody lives in Fishers to come to my class on a Sunday night. So find something that's near your house that fits in your work or your lifestyle schedule and create a routine. There's also a lot of free, paid, or recorded and live classes. Like we have these live, but record them. So you can find those on YouTube. Some yoga studios will offer virtual classes during their live classes, so you can still join in on those. Most yoga studios have a free or discounted trial. So the studio that I teach, Flourish, has a 2-week unlimited for $39. That way you can try all of the different styles of classes. You can try out all of the different teachers and see what you mesh with the best. I know some studios are going to do a first classes freeze to just get you in the door. So just check on those specials and see what's going to work the best for you. And also, I think a lot of us know that we've heard there's benefits to yoga. I've gone over some of the benefits here with you, but what's the correct dosage, or how much yoga do you need to get the benefits? And it's just like cycling or anything, once a week, that's going to be great, but the more you do it, the better it's going to be. Traditionally, a class is about an hour and 15 minutes in that range, but you don't have to do an hour every single day. I suggest doing, 10 minutes a day is really just some stretching on the legs, a little bit of breath work. That's when you're going to see the buildup of benefits the fastest amount of time. So I just, if you want to take a picture or screenshot, or again, this is going to be recorded, you can go back to it. If you're trying to just do yoga on your own and you don't want to go to a class or don't have time for a class, this is just a nice little breakdown of all of the things that you want to connect. So I almost always will start off my classes with breath work, and I just sort of move from the head down the body. So breath work, neck and shoulders. You want to move the spine in all directions. So we can fold, we can twist, you can have side bends, the hips, the legs, even the ankles and the toes, doing some balance as we age. Balance is going to be really important to just do a little bit every day. And then at the end, it's nice to just lay and relax for a few moments so all of those benefits can soak in. And in a moment, I'm going to take us through a brief, just like 5 or 10 minutes seated yoga practice. So I'm going to stay in my office chair. You can do this at your desk at work. So I know some of us will commute to work, and sometimes you're sitting at your desk all day. You're going to want to just take a break, 5 minutes, do some stretching every day. That's where you're going to really get those benefits. So here's that QR code if you want to sign up for the Bike Buddy program. If you want to find our carpool match list or just kind of see what we're at, you can scan this QR code. And here is my contact information if you have Commuter Connect questions, but if you have yoga questions, I'm more than happy to help guide you. You can kind of tell me what you're looking for, and I can give you more personalized suggestions on types of yoga classes that might work best for you and your lifestyle. And then with that, if everybody, I'll stop sharing my screen so you can see me a little bit better. All right. So if you're in a seat, if you can't do this now, that's fine. But if you're in your seat, or you can kind of get onto the floor if you'd like, just try to find a nice and tall spine. And just connecting to your breath is going to be really helpful. So before we even do that though, notice your pelvis is like a bowl. You don't want the bowl to tip forward. You don't want the bowl to tip back. So see if your pelvic bowl can be nice and neutral. And we want the head stacked over the shoulders and the hips. You can look down towards your nose or even close your eyes if that's comfortable to you. Without changing it or fixing it, just notice your natural breath in and out of the nostrils. And slowly, little by little, you can add to this breath. Maybe deepen, inhaling a bit more. And then exhaling a bit more. Eventually, we're going to want to find this diaphragmatic or three-part breathing. So we'll start with the belly. And as you inhale, the belly fills like a balloon up into the rib cage, all the way up into the chest. As we exhale, the chest falls, the rib cage circles in, and the belly pulls back to squeeze breath out. Inhale, the belly fills, the rib cage expands up into the chest. Exhale from the top, the middle, and the bottom. A few more times, just like a glass of water, fill from the bottom to the top. And exhale from the top back down. Notice your diaphragm will use suction to pull breath down and into the lungs. And then as you exhale, we squeeze the rib cage, squeeze the abdomen to empty out all the stale air so you can make room for fresh new oxygen. So as we're working on this breath work, again, this is one that I suggest to do every day. So you expand your lung capacity. That's going to help with your cycling. And even when you are riding, try to slow the breath down a little bit. Use a little bit more of the lung capacity. So you can stay with that breath or kind of relax it a little bit, but still full deep breaths through the nose. And I know a lot of us, when we cycle, we're leaning forward, our chin comes forward. So really gently draw the chin back and lift through the crown of the head. Draw the shoulders slightly back, but then let them relax down. Next inhale, imagine the head gets lighter like a balloon. As you exhale, just look to the right. Nice stretch through the side. Inhale back through center. Exhale to the left. Inhale back through center. One more time, we'll look to the right. Back through center. One more time to the left. And back through center. Pausing here. Good. Now let the right ear just fall to the right. See that the shoulders remain level. Try not to tip to the side. If you want more of a shoulder stretch, reach out to that left hand. Maybe you look yes or no, side to side, just exploring. We're always moving slow with the neck so we don't overwork anything. Then with a mindful breath in, float your head back through center, bring your hands back through center. Pause for a moment. Now let the left ear fall to the left. Try not to let the head fall forward. If that's natural for you, gently draw the chin back for now and reach out through the right hand to deepen. You might look around in circles. You could nod your head yes or no. And when you're ready, a big breath in, head back up. Hands can rest in the lap. Feel the spine neutralize. This time it's a fun one. Inhale your chin forward like an angry goose. Then exhale, really press your head back like you're pressing it against the wall behind you. Inhale forward. Exhale, we go back. That's strengthening the cervical spine, the back of the neck. One more time. Inhale forward. Exhale back. And back to neutral. We'll start to lower into the shoulders now. We probably tense up our work day, our cycling, our shoulders are up here. So let them fall back. On your breath in, draw the shoulders up to the ears. Exhale, let the shoulders relax down. One more time, big breath in. Exhale, let the shoulders relax down. Now we're going to go in some circles. So up, back, and around. Make sure they soften all the way down when they come around. Then we'll go the opposite direction. Typically one side, one way is going to feel a little better than the other. You go one and then the other, kind of like you're swimming in place. Then we'll go back the opposite direction. Pause for a moment. I really love the mind work in yoga too. So see if you can start to rotate your right shoulder forward. And as that one's going forward, rotate your left shoulder back. We're firing the right and left hemisphere of our brain at the same time. Might be kind of tricky. Then we'll pause. And we'll go the opposite direction. So start to rotate the left shoulder forward and the right shoulder back. If you say it in your brain, it makes it easier. Left shoulder forward, right shoulder back. Then pause. Notice the warmth and the circulation and the neck and the shoulders. Grounding and rooting breath. On your breath in, reach the arms up. Interlace the fingers, turn the palms up and reach out through the hands. Now we're going to come into a side bend. Our right hand can rest on the arm or release to the side as the left hand just reaches over. Root through that left sit bone and feel the breath on that whole side body. On your inhale, lift back up. Let your left hand fall down. You can rest on the arm or to the side as your right arm reaches up and over. Breathe into the rib cage. Inhale back up. Now we want to find a twist. So if needed, scooch forward in your chair a little bit. Feel the shoulders over the hips again. Inhale, get tall through the crown, and we're just going to twist to the right. So the right hand can hold onto the back of the chair or rest. The left hand can be on your opposite thigh, and either bring your head and your eyes into the twist. Every breath in, get a little taller through the spine. Every breath out, the belly squeezes breath out, engaging the core. On your next inhale, back through center. And then we'll exhale the opposite direction to the left. Use that back hand to hold onto the chair. Right hand opposite thigh, head turns. Now the arms can help support deepening the twist, but they're not going to pull or wrench our spine. So use your breath. Inhale, getting taller. Strong belly. Exhale, twist you more deeply. Inhale back through center. Now from here, we're gonna find a forward fold. So I open my legs a little wider and I just hinge forward, elbows can rest on the thigh. My desk is nearby, so I could put my hands on my desk and fold over. This also feels really great to do on the kitchen sink to stretch out through the back. Deep breath into the back body. And strong belly, use your inhale to rise back up. So we want to use the spine in all directions. I'm going to turn so you can see a little better. I do this multiple times through the day, probably every hour at my desk. Hands on the chair, just lift the chest, draw the elbows together. Now feel the breath in between the shoulder, or in between the sternum, the front body. You could also interlace your fingers and draw the knuckles down to open up the chest. And I know sometimes in a spin class or throughout the day, you might do that. But again, the repetition, imagine the amount of hours that you're cycling and leaning forward, and then the amount of hours that you don't do this. So you want to find a balance and try to counteract as much as you can. I'm going to turn my screen down just a bit so you can see the lower half of my body now. So tight hips. A lot of us, Tony and I were talking today about our knees hurting. A lot of that will start in the hips. So we'll start with our left leg and just put your left ankle on your thigh. So you can do this at your desk. Again, that's what I'm trying to say. You don't need to go to a whole yoga class to get these benefits. Try to keep the ankle strong, the pelvis level, and then tip forward. What we don't want to do is round forward. We do enough rounding. We want to keep that nice long spine and tip forward at the hips. So you might not go very far. I do a lot of yoga for a long time, so I'm pretty flexible anyways. Naturally, I can just tip forward, but you might be up here and still feel the stretch. That's fine. We're trying to stretch the outer hip. So it doesn't matter what it looks like, as long as we have that nice long spine. I'm going to take a few more breaths to let that hip soften and relax. And we can tip back up, unwind that leg, and just switch sides. If you're really tight and this isn't happening comfortably, you could hold up your knee. We don't want to feel pain in yoga. You might feel some intensity, but you shouldn't feel pain. So you can hold the knee. I know it's hard to see, but you could straighten the bottom leg a little bit so it's not so intense. The more you lift this leg up and tip forward, the more intensity you'll start to feel. Long, slow breaths. We want the oxygen to come into the areas of the body that we're stretching. If you're one of those people that you're tight and you just stretch and you hold your breath, you could cause injury. You're not going to get quite the benefits that if you were holding the pose while you breathe deeply. And then we'll lift back up, unwind that leg. Now we want to get the backs of the legs. So I've got a bench over here I could just rest it on. Everybody knows we stretch our hamstrings. So that's a good one to focus on. Let's do both sides really quick. We're not going to hold that one a really long time today. And we'll go ahead and just stand up for a moment. I want to get the fronts of our hips. So just a lunge is going to be good. We're focusing on this. So put one leg forward, reach out through that back heel, tuck the tailbone, and then reach the arms up. This is called Warrior One if you've never done yoga before. And we're breathing into the front of this hip. Sometimes if you drop that arm down and reach to the side, it'll add intensity to the front hip. Couple times a day is going to be the best, not just a whole hour class. Just do this, at night before bed or in the morning when you wake up. Stretch that hip. So we can switch legs, opposite foot forward, reach out through that back heel. Both arms could lift. Or you could drop one arm and reach to the side to add more intensity. And stepping back together. Through center, Here's our mountain pose. And then from our mountain pose, we'll just do balancing and then we'll start to wrap it up. Think of your foot like a triangle. You have the inner and the outer ball and the heel. Feel those 3 points of your foot. Then we're going to just turn one knee out to the side. The toes can stay on the floor for a kickstand. You can bring your foot onto your ankle. Some people bring it up onto their inner leg. Try to avoid the knee. We don't want the sideways pressure. And then use your eye gaze to balance. And you'll feel your ankle wobbling. That's strengthening your ankle. If you keep your eyes steady, you can balance better. We'll bring the knee through center. Find those 3 points of each foot again. Switching sides, turn your knee out to the side. Toes can stay on the floor for a kickstand, or you can place your foot on the thigh or the inner calf. Even if or when you fall out of a balancing pose, you're still getting the benefits of the balancing because you're getting that neurofeedback of your brain and your foot connecting. And we'll bring the foot back through center. If you stood up and you're joining, come back into your seat. Place both feet on the floor evenly. Hands can rest in the lap. Feel the pelvis neutral again. I've got a pillow behind my back to help my spine be nice and tall. Shoulders over hips. Chin gently back, making sure we don't have that head forward that comes naturally to some of us. Let the eyes soften towards the nose or even close. And if you are still focusing on those deeper diaphragmatic breaths, you can let that sort of fade away, come back to a natural breath. Feel a wave of relaxation down the glutes, the hips, through the legs and the toes getting heavy. Feel the shoulders relax down, the arms and the fingers. All expression from your face just melts away. Coming into a place of just observing the breath and the body and allowing all of the thoughts to just float away. Peaceful breath in and out. And if the eyes were open, you can gaze down towards the nose, gently open them again. And thank you all so much for joining me with some yoga for cycling. Any questions about Commuter Connect, our bike buddy program, carpooling, or yoga, please reach out to me and I'm happy to connect with you more. Thank you, Connie, for having me today.
You're very welcome. Damon has joined us, so we'll get him started as well. So if anybody, before you leave us, Allie, if anybody has any questions right now for Allie, you can either type them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask them. All right. I don't see anything. If people do, then I'll let you know. All right. So Damon, you're going to talk about indoor cycling.
You betcha.
Spinning.
First, I gotta say, Allie, I feel relaxed. It's like I was trying to just watch and listen, but I found myself flowing into it anyway. And I hate yoga, just for the record. But thanks. Those of you who know me, who have ridden with me in the past, know two things about me. One is I like to always be pedaling. I have a pretty constant cadence regardless of how fast we're going. And the second is that I hate to be outside in the cold. And both of those things come from my winter routine. I spend my winters riding in the basement, and I don't have any of the modern fancy stuff. So I don't Peloton. I don't any of those competitive things that many of you might want to do. I actually spend my time catching up on movies that I would like to see, and I feel like that's a good way to do that mindless activity while getting some exercise. My basement setup is pretty basic, but I do have two devices, and there's a reason for me having two separate ones. I have a mag trainer, which is a device that you put your rear wheel on, and it provides resistance when you pedal, but you're stationary. The front wheel just sits on the ground or sits on a support, which makes the bike more level. And that allows you to just pedal away all day long. But it makes me keep a pretty good pace. If I stop pedaling, there's not very long before the wheel stops turning. So you're kind of forced to keep pedaling. I ride that most of the time. But when I'm really feeling antsy, I get on my rollers. And rollers are like a treadmill for a bicycle. It has 3 drums. Your rear wheel goes on the 2 drums in the back. Your front wheel goes on the drum in the front. And there's a band that connects the front roller to the rear rollers. So that as you pedal, both your wheels turn, which means now you are responsible for balancing yourself. And you never coast on rollers unless you're really, really good, because as soon as you stop pedaling, the wheels stop turning and, tumble comes. So because of the winter riding that I do, it just creates a natural, I have a cadence, and I always like to be pedaling because that's what I have to do during my winter workouts. I strongly recommend starting with a trainer, a mag trainer or wind trainer. And those of you who are really into it can get some of the devices that allow you to ride with others while in your basement. Or if you just want to be with a group, there are lots of spin classes available where, like the local YMCAs offer them, and there are lots of spin training facilities. So you can find one near you. I'm not going to try to list a bunch of them for you. I don't like spin classes because I spent time in the Air Force, and I tell people I got paid to get yelled at. I don't want to pay somebody to yell at me. And I know that's a slur on spin classes because they don't all yell at you, but I just feel yelled at when I do them. And that's kind of the basics of my winter workouts. And then my cross training usually consists of yoga-like calisthenics, because I really don't do the slow motion yoga poses, but I do a lot of core exercises on a mat in my basement. You hear basement a lot about my winter workouts. So that's kind of where I go, and I really want to kind of open this up for a little conversation. What do you all do, and do you do things similar, and do you do something different that we can share with the group that maybe some of us can pick up? Because this session with Allie has already made me feel like maybe I ought to try yoga again. So what do you think? Anybody out there?
I forgot to mention on the 25th, which is a Saturday at 9 a.m., I'm doing a complimentary yoga class at Grego in Fountain Square. So if you could all go and try some yoga, Damon.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Good. It's definitely good to find somebody to do things with. Like for me, a partner, like I have a spin partner that I go to spin class with, and I know he's going to be there, so I better show up. So
That's true. It really,
or rides, even if they're virtual rides with friends.
Yeah. It would take lots of partners to get me to be a regular yoga person. But I get that, and that's why a lot of the devices that allow you to connect virtually, create that motivation, even if you're hanging out in your basement like I do.
Mhm.
What about you, Connie? What's your winter workout? You probably go outdoors, don't you?
I try to go out. Mine has been non-existent this winter. So if I do anything, I go for walks. Or if it's a nice enough day, then I might get my bike out, which I've only done once so far this winter. I also don't like riding in super, like today, if the temperature is fine, but
The wind is crazy.
the winds are that's a little daunting. So I don't even like walking outside when it's this
Right.
windy.
Now I see on this list of participants, I see Pete and Andy, and those are two guys who ride year round.
Yeah, they ride outside year round. I did also want to mention Bicycle Garage Indy is having our first ever cabin fever cycle-a-thon, and it's on the 20th of this month, February 20th. It's President's Day, so a lot of people have it off. And from 10 to 4, you can come and bike on trainers as much or little as you want. Well, if you have a smart trainer and bring your bike, we've got a route with Wahoo that is actually an actual route down in Brown County. So it's going to have some hills, about 23 miles. It's not super hilly. It's about 1,100 feet of climbing and 23 miles. And it's a fundraiser for 913 Sports. So it'll benefit their kids riding bikes program. But it's the first time we're trying this, and we encourage everybody to come out and check it out. You can ride for an hour, you can ride for all day. Some people might want to do a century. And we'll have some music and movies playing and some food, so you can stop and do a virtual SAG stop, just get off your trainer and eat something and go back. And we're going to have some raffle prizes each hour to keep it a little interesting as well. So that if you're not on Bicycle Garage's Indy's email list, you can, I'll put the link to that in the chat. So if you want to sign up. So that's in about 10 days from now, 11 days from now. And my cohort, Zoe, and the folks at 913 Sports are helping us out with this. So
Awesome.
we're excited to have this happen. So that's coming up as well. So we've got, yoga classes and
these
spin events. So
yeah, these would be great opportunities if you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your winter workouts. Here's a couple of free ways to try them out, or expensive ways to try them out, that will be fundraisers for other community organizations. So get out.
yeah. Yeah, so I'm putting that in the chat. So does anybody have any questions for either Damon or Allie?
Yeah, hey Damon, this is Pete.
Hey Pete.
A quick question about I try to use like hand weights, like little 10-pound hand weights, and try to do an upper body workout in the winter. Have you done that? Like a hand weight routine kind of thing?
I have tried doing upper body workout. It's something that I should do more of, because bike riders don't get much upper body. You get some core,
right?
And I'm lousy at it. That's probably something that would work better for me if I had a partner who would drag me to the gym to do. But yeah, it's a good idea. Uh-oh, I think Pete disappeared.
Did Pete leave?
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have, when he did mute, he might have done stop instead. Yeah, so does anybody else have any winter workout routines that they do.
Okay.
All right. Well, hopefully we gave you some ideas of things that you can start and or test out if you're not already doing something. And I'm going to go ahead and end this. So this recording will be up on the page that I just put. The same registration page that you used has a link to archive, and I'll put the link on the front page of that. And we'll also share it on social media, and the different organizations will share it on their Facebook pages. So I think actually I might look at this again and go through Allie's yoga routine just to, I think, just to try it out at home, at taking a break from my working at the computer stuff. So, thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Next month, Tony Chiralis, a mechanic at Bicycle Garage Indy, will be doing bike security and maintenance. So we'll do that, have that as the next Lunch and Learn program. And hopefully we'll see all of you and others next month. Have a great day and take care. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Connie.